Yet this man, Dr. Michael Swango, is believed to have murdered more than 35 patients. For years, he fooled his peers and the community. In today's True Crime Tuesday, the secret writings and letters of Dr. Swango uncovered. What drives a doctor to harm instead of healing? And the big question, could you spot a serial killer doctor? Doctor of Death, the Poison Doctor. Michael Swango had many names. The doctor and serial killer is believed to have murdered as many as 35 patients during his time as a physician.
Dr. Swango was evil.
The perfect crime. Michael would administer toxic substances to his sick patients. He went undetected for years, but a trail of death followed him everywhere he went.
Nurses saw things that looked odd to them that made no sense.
Despite complaints, Swango was never caught. Whenever the doctor came under suspicion, he'd simply move on to a different employer. He took up residence in hospitals in Ohio, Illinois, Virginia, South Dakota, and finally, New York, where, again, his patients had a habit of dying for no explicable reason. This time, the federal authorities got involved, and with the FBI on his heels, Swango fled the country to practice medicine in Zimbabwe. En route to yet another hospital job, this time in Saudi Arabia, Michael Swango was finally arrested during a layover in Chicago. Swango was charged with 3 murders and pled guilty, admitting to injecting his victims with a lethal substance. During the trial, prosecutors provided chilling evidence, the deranged doctor's personal diary.
In that diary, he expressed for the first time ever that we know of his interest in killing people, explaining how much it made him feel alive to kill people.
In his own words, "I love the sweet, husky, close smell of indoor homicide."
Finding that book in his handwriting made the case come together.
Today, shocking new revelations into the mind of this serial killer doctor. We'll hear exclusively from the daughter of one of his victims in a little bit, but first, let's dive deeper into this case. To help understand what would drive a doctor to kill, writer Kelly Kreth is here, who's been researching this case and actually been corresponding with Dr. Swango for the past 9 years. We also have special agent on the case, Tom Valerie. So Kelly, I'm intrigued by your voyage here. You were stimulated because you were interfacing with a sociopath in your own personal life.
Exactly.
You began to write serial killers, people who are sociopaths. Why did you pick Dr. Swango?
Initially, it took about 6 months to a year. I did thorough research. I was trying to find somebody who was incarcerated for life, so I'd be safe, who mimicked the traits of my own personal sociopath. So I was looking for somebody with an advanced degree, somebody with a very high IQ, and obviously Dr. Swango fits those 2 categories.
And he immediately began corresponding?
Yeah, I sent him a letter. He responded, and it went on from there.
Tom, tell us a bit more about Dr. Swango. In the United States, when Dr. Swango was killing patients, what kinds of patients were they? Were they infected
Most
patients?
of them were elderly. Some of them were terminally ill. Some of them were seriously ill with heart ailments.
But treatable problems?
Absolutely treatable. Absolutely treatable.
Kelly, Dr. Swango refused to be profiled by the FBI. So you probably have the best evidence about what kind of a man he is. You probably have observed patterns that none of us are aware of. So give us some insights into why he would target people with treatable problems.
With Dr. Swango in particular, while he's never discussed the why of his particular crimes, he has in general said that there's almost a euphoric feeling. That feeling that you and I have of guilt just doesn't resonate with a sociopath.
So I'm going to speak through an issue that's puzzling me. I'm going to show this all to you and see where you come down on this. Here's a timeline of Dr. Swango's troubled past. And this is the kind of information that really alarms me. So 1982, he's in med school. Due to poor performance, Swango had to repeat rotations. He did not graduate with his class. Fast forward 2 years down. First job in Ohio. Nurses report suspicions of Swango. They notice that they're healthy patients that are dying, what you just heard. Same year, he's arrested and charged with battery for poisoning co-workers. He's poisoning the other people working in the hospital. He serves 2 years for that, gets out of jail, right? And hired in Virginia. He got another job. Counseling, listen carefully, medical students. Now he's teaching medical students, right? 1990, he's now changed his name because he's killing people, so he's hiding, forged documents, and then rehired as a doctor in South Dakota. You know why he left? Suspicious circumstances. 1983, hired in New York City, where you can come hide if you want. In 1996, after more suspicions, he left this country and began practicing in Zimbabwe overseas. Next year, thinking that he was above the law, which is something that I'm understanding now about how his mind works. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He's arrested as he tries to flee again. He's come back into the country, amazingly. 15 years from where this whole thing started, he was able to continue terrorizing and killing. So, Tom, how's it possible he wasn't stopped earlier? Why was he able to get along with murdering innocent people and just jumping forward, just stepping a little bit ahead of the law?
He was a very cunning, decisive person. He also had a sixth sense of knowing the system, knowing the political system, knowing to the point that he would present to a hospital, if you don't let me continue my practice or my education, and you haven't warned me previously, I'm going to hire a lawyer and I'm going to sue you. Hospitals do not want the press.
This is the big issue for me, guys. We have to be braver. It is our responsibility to society as physicians, but this is true of all professions, to take care of the people. And you've got to police your own. And I think we are just too soft. We've been talking about the problems with the medical profession. It is really, really an issue. And 35 people died, possibly, because there was not enough people with guts to deal with it. Tom, how did he get caught?
What had happened is, during a series of events, as you had put it, in 1993, I escorted him from the VA, from the facility he was at, okay? At that particular time, he left for points unknown.
He escaped.
He escaped.
He became a fugitive.
He
Sort of.
He became a fugitive. However, the charges were not terribly dramatic. Yeah. He then appeared to us, was brought to our attention. He was arrested in Chicago, and he's never been out of jail since.
So there's a scrapbook. When he was arrested, he had a scrapbook that was confiscated. And here's an example. This is a really alarming excerpt. When I kill someone, this is his writing, when I kill someone, it's because I want to. It's the only way I have of reminding myself that I'm still alive. Oh my goodness. He seems to get a sick joy out of killing people. Is that your understanding of him?
We've never specifically discussed his feelings about killing people, so I can't tell you that he's told me that. But I think it's pretty apparent that feeling of euphoria is all-encompassing.
So one of the attorneys involved in the case, Edward Nikowitz, is here. So where is he now, Swango?
He's in a max facility in Colorado, and he's serving multiple life sentences. He's not going to see the light of day, that's for sure.
As someone who's led the charge against this man, do you think physicians should have to undergo psychiatric profiling prior to being allowed to practice?
I do. I think it's really critical and important that we know who are caring for our moms, our dads, our sons, our daughters.
Thank you for your work. You've written probably 1,000 letters to him now.
I would say upwards of 700, yeah.
700. So these are some of the letters, by the way. These are actually the handwritten letters. And these letters have been written to about 10 serial killers. Mm-hmm. So
yes.
What are you noticing? What does Swango have in common with the other people who have done this?
Well, I would say that there are distinct characteristics of sociopaths, and the ones I write to obviously fit them. They tend to be glib, charming, which we've mentioned. They really enjoy reckless behavior. They have trouble with conscience. They're very narcissistic. So I think that that's pretty much all of them across the board. These are the characteristics you'll notice.
Stunning. Stunning. And The fact that it can help you succeed in life, it makes it more damning.